Are you ready? This week we have secondary dominants. That's fun. And we have a minuet, so we'll be dancing. So today we're going to look at secondary dominants that are on page 117 of your book. And you'll notice that first they put that secondary dominant in root position to show you that it's E major of the 6. So if you're in the key of C, A minor is the 6th chord, 5 above A, B, C, D, E is your chord. And it's altered, changed, because it has a G sharp. Because in the key of E minor, we have G sharp. Now that's going to be just more of an understanding of the activity, but what you're going to practice is the second part of the exercise, where you have the A minor, the chord, and the A minor, the D minor that way. And I'll show you how we're going to do that. So looking at the piano then, in the key of C, A is 6, we go to the 6th area. And if we're thinking 1, 4, 1, 5, we would play that note. And that is what you're seeing on measure 3 and 4 of the activity. So we're going to play it that way. 5 of the 6. So every chord has a secondary dominant. So if I'm 1, here's my normal 5. If I move up to 2, what would be my 5 chord? 1, 4, 1, 5 of the 2. Here's the 3 chord in the key of C. Think 1, 4, 1, 5 of the 3, 5 of the 4, 5 of the 5, 5 of the 6. 7 doesn't work so well. So what I want you to do to practice is actually do 1, 5 of 2, 5 of 3, 5 of 4, 5 of 5, 5 of 6. And you can do that in other keys. Here's my D major. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 are my notes. So 1, E minor is 2, 5 of 2. Now in the key of D, F sharp is 3. So I go there, think 1, 4, 1, 5 of 3. G major is 4. Sorry. A major is 5. So I have So again, it's the chord that's in the key that is the one that stays that way. The 5 of it has to alter to fit the new key. All right, your harmonization activity this week is listed as shalom. And as you look at this, it's very important for you always to read the material that's before it. And it will tell you what chords you must use. So we expect 1 and 5. But the 6th chord in the key of E minor, is going to be E, F, G, A, B, C. So we're looking for a place that we can play a C major chord in this piece. So let's try to find that spot. Could we begin with a C major? Perhaps, but that's not really appropriate for E minor piece, right? So we're going to anticipate that we begin at E minor. Moving along, the next example, could we play a C major here with the E? Possibly so. So we're going to keep that in mind. That's possible. Can we with D? No. B? No. Here's another E. Is it possible? Let's look. There's a B there and a G. Probably not for a C, E, G chord because of that B. So I'm going to say not for now. Moving on. No other place. So yes, this is my C major chord. You notice it also says to have a 3 chord in the key of E minor. What is 3? E, F, G. So we're looking for a G major possibility. G major, no. G major, no. Could we hear? Yes, G, B, D. It is possible. Can we do it here? Yes, it is possible. So we're going to think about which one of those would be possible for the G major. And maybe one would work better than the other. So right now we have C major for here. And then we either have G major here or G major there. Now we go back and look at what other chords are necessary. 5 of 3. So if I'm in the key of G, E, F, G, if I'm in the key of G, what is 5 of G? G, A, B, C, D. A D major chord moving to G. So now I look and say, could I use a D major before this G? No. Could I use a D major before this G? Yes. So that makes this a D major chord and that the G. Do you see how I chose that progression and why? So now I know that's going to be D major moving to the G. The rest of it's probably just going to be 1 and 5. So let's take a look at that spot. All right, so we begin in the key of E minor. There's 1, 4, 1, 5, 1. I'm thinking, okay, I'm going to look at the D major going to G spot first. So I move to G major. Think 1, 4, 1, 5 of G. So I'm not going to play the D here because I want to play the 5, the secondary dominants, where they're going to. Just like we did in the activity on page 117. So 5 of G. So I'm at E minor. Now I have some opportunities here to choose C major. I could place C major there and then 5 of the G. Or I could do E minor, C major, D major, G major. So I'll let you choose on that. On that last spot, there was only one beat. I could do so that I could play the whole chord, or I can, so I'm giving the idea of the 5 chord by playing just one note. You can choose on that as well. Always play broken accompaniment. We never play blocked accompaniments. Always broken. And then you want to review the fact that you're always going to play your activity in 2 keys, the original plus 1. Now it gives you a suggestion here to transpose that to C minor. That is possible. I will let you always choose which key you transpose it to, but I would encourage you to push yourself a little bit more. In the first semester, you always chose C major to transpose it to because that was easy. Now you're ready to try to push yourself. So C minor would be good because you have to think. Or going to F minor. That would really make you think. So don't pick always the easiest one. All right, your next activity is Tell Me Why. And we will get started on that one this week, and you'll polish it up for the following week. Some things for you to think about. First off, whenever you see the Roman numerals, what I'd like for you to do is to write a chord chart for yourself before you even start the activity. Because eventually you're going to have to sight read a chord chart. So this is a great opportunity to practice that. So if I'm in the key of F, a 4 chord would be F, G, A, B flat, right? So you're going to write B flat above this. Here on the 5 of 5, if I'm in the key of F, C is my 5, right? So I'm going to go ahead and put this here, C chord. And what's 5 above C? G. So I know I have a G7 chord there, which resolves to C. So this Roman numeral is saying how it's working. So first look at the chord that follows. In the key of F, that's C. Then go back and think what's 5 of that? C, D, E, F, G. So we have a G7 going to C. Down here, we see that we have a 5 of a 2. If we're in the key of F, 2 is G. So what's 2 above G, 5 above G? G, A, B, C, D. So write a D7 there. And normally this would go to a G minor chord, right? But he adapts a little bit. So here I'm going to put G minor, anticipating that's what he's doing. But he says he wants a 5, 7 of 5. So in the key of F, 5 is a C. I have that there. 5 above that C should be a G. So in this case, because it's altered, it's going to be a G major. So I have to play a G major chord there, a G7. So if I had D7 going to G, that would have been the original. But now he's going to say, make it major. So that's what that is. So you might want to write those in, the D7, the G7, the C7. So now putting that into action, let me show you those hard spots. So here I am at the beginning in F major. So the very first B flat chord is just going to be our normal B flat chord. I'm not going to go down and put it in root. We're always assuming these chords will be in that position. So the first tricky spot is G7 going to C. That's on measure 11 going to 12. So I come down here to the C. That's where I'm going to. 5 of that. G7 going to C. Now you notice that on the C it says C7. So what I can do is 5-7 to C7 back to 1. On measure 13 we have D7 going to G. So G, D7 going to G, C7 going to F. So be sure to practice those progressions with your right hand. And if this week you'd like to play it with a blocked accompaniment, just this piece, you may do so, because we're also continuing this for the next week and you'll do it broken then. Your literature for this week is Minuet in G major. First, always when choosing literature and thinking about literature, consider the title, Minuet. What does a minuet mean? You're right, it's a dance. So perhaps on our next class period, I'll be dancing around the room as we play this one. You want it to be 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. Feel the dance quality? Yum, bum, bum, ba, dum, yum. So now, notice the right hand has again, it's that dance quality that we're finally in the end hoping for. Now it's time to look at some practice methods of achieving what we are hoping to. Notice at the beginning, the left hand has octave, stepwise, octave, stepwise. So I want to set my hand for the octave and then move up. Now the fingering they're giving you there is very important. So 5, 1, 3, 2. Now look carefully at what happens to the hand. See how the hand came together? It's not. Then I have a long way to go. Then I have to know how to get back down to the D. That's the only place I need to look, it's right there. I don't need to look at all, except for between measure 2 and measure 3. This, no looking. Here, 1 look. Don't need to look here. Don't need to look there. If you notice on measure 8 here, that we have a 2-note slur in our right hand and our left hand. Whenever you have a slur, you want your wrist to go down and then up. So it's going to go da-dum. So that looks like and my wrist was down, up, down, up, down, up. Notice when the down up, it was not. Now my whole hand is up. Instead it's. When learning pieces, always try to take in consideration the theory skills that you're learning. For example, remember the concept of the chapter was the secondary dominant. So here you have that opportunity to consider that in music. So you're in the key of G. A 2 chord is an A minor chord. We see that option here. 5 above A minor is E major. So we've outlined the E major chord there. Also consider your theory skills when you're thinking about practice techniques. For example, if you look here, what do you see? Basically an arpeggiated D major chord. Basically an E major chord. So when you're practicing, take those spots to actually play that in a blocked form. So if I'm looking at measure 4, rather than to play, I can first practice playing it together. Measure 10, I see, I can practice measure 12. So before I even play this piece, I do measure 2, measure 4, measure 10, measure 12, so that I get experience of feeling and hearing that. That you always want to keep your hand behind the finger that's playing. So at measure 10, I have, see how the wrist followed the hand up. I didn't play, that looks very tight, but measure 12. Wrist behind the finger. All right, work smart, work hard, and grab a friend and let's dance our minuet. See you next week.